Oh, hi everyone. How are you? It's a Saturday here. Not sure when I'm going to upload this, but um, I've got two other recordings that are coming up too. So, um, my son helps me upload because I can't peck it out with the one hand. Um, and like I say, I need to make a playlist too, but there's just certain things you can do with one hand and other things you just can't. I really found that out. That's my message for this journey. Oh, just had his dinner. So, so he's gonna let me record while he takes his um, nap after he's eaten his dinner. Oh, he's stretching out. You guys should see. Like, he's really huge when he stretches out. He stretches out, and makes the big turkey like leg thing. Do you guys' cats do that too? They stretch out and do the big turkey stretch with their feet. And when he does that, then I love to massage his feet, and it makes him real mad. Um, Other than that, uh, not too much else has been happening. I'm finally over the virus. I'm glad, but I'm not happy all the way because my kiddo still has it. Um, I mean, it just seems to me like everybody's sick. Does it seem like that to everybody else? Like, it seems worse than usual. When I was working, guess what, 4 years ago, um, it seemed that we really would all get the one virus together, like, starting in November, the sore throat and stuff like that, and it would just kind of stay off and on through the winter, and it was just kind of the accepted norm. So I guess that is kind of dealing with something in the winters, but now I don't know. It seems like there's a breakup of it, and then it's new viruses. I I don't just maybe they say that us isolating it was wrong because then it didn't get our immune system used to being around other people. So I don't even know how to think about it anymore. I just know that I feel sick more than I did before. Do you guys feel that same way? Just kind of just kind of not great. Anywho, off when Boo jumped up on the keyboard last night and said I needed to end it. I left off, and so we're going to start part 31 at the discovery page 1141 and then pages 1024. Yes, I made it past the 1000 mark in the 1690 page discovery project I started. Now, like I've said before, can you guys please, if you guys haven't been banned from all of the Watts pages on the discovery on Reddit, can you guys, when you can, look at Reddit and see what you see, and if you're able to um, impart some truth without getting kicked off, I think it'd be helpful. There's just so much on Reddit that is false, absolutely false, and um, it keeps popping up in my feed, and I'll read a little bit of it, and I'll be like, "This is not true. Did they not pay attention to any?" And it's like, no, they didn't. They saw the headlines and they remember it in the back of their head, and that's that. That's all that these people saw. That's all that they know. I mean, you do see the people who are in there, and they're calling certain creators names and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I dare you to go on that creator's page and call them those names. Like, yeah, you're real tough on Reddit because you know that if that person defended themselves, they'd get kicked off. But oh, you can go and call that person those names, like mhm. I think that person uh would set you straight all the way from Qantas. The Qantas airline would do so. They would fly into Qantas to set you straight. I know they would, because it's like you should not talk about creators unless you have enough gumption to go and do it on their own thing. I'd like to see our friend who flies Qantas go and straighten some of these people out. Um, online, of course, just to see, okay, what's your argument? Where are you coming from? They wouldn't do well because our friend seems to know his stuff, and I wasn't a follower for a long time, and then I certainly was when I saw his genuine nature. I tend to stay away from most creators, especially at this time where I'm a newer creator. Well, I started in June, and I'm up to 842 followers. Thank you so much. Um, and what I'm doing is really trying to hold my own truth, find the truth, and be a part of the truth while imparting some sarcastic humor, whether you like it or not. And I don't go with groupthink. If I went with groupthink, of course, we know that I'd have 15,000 subscribers. And I'm not bowing down to those who are not being a part of the truth, as you guys all know and have heard in the past. So, where I have my 842, that's people who are with me for the journey of finding the truth. And that means more to me than 50 million subscribers. So, thank you to 842 of you. I think that going through this discovery is a huge part of my learning curve. And I woke up today and I'm like, hold on. Yeah, it confirms that she had that x-ray. Confirms she had the x-ray before then she flew out to Arizona. And the first time they were able to talk after that, some horrible fight ended up where she didn't come out alive. So what was revealed on that private ultrasound? Was the ultrasound not showing to the date that she said? I wonder. Because there was so much yes and no on that ultrasound, and so much of the canceling ultrasounds and canceling for this reason and the other. And then finally is one, and instead of focusing on the baby's growth, I mean, most people you'll hear, they'll be like, oh gosh, the baby's healthy, yeah, you saw the heart and everything, and the heart's beating, and baby's measuring this, and baby looks so healthy, and all you saw is sucking its thumb or kicking and all that. And with her, you hear nothing other than gender. What's the gender? And it makes you wonder if that was the same for the girls. And then once they were born, it's like, okay, yeah, you're an extra. Well, until we give him his boy, you're just going to be that, And it doesn't seem like that's the way he felt initially. I mean, certainly we see it in the end. But I think it was because he was tired of more and more feminine energy being trained to go against him, because that was the way that it was in her family, certainly, where she learned the emasculation from her mother, mistreating her father, and doesn't seem like Junior's been able to launch from the nest successfully yet. Nothing wrong with that in today's economy, but it seems like, he may not have been nurtured to be the best man that he could be. And then when Mama Roo lived there, you see the aftermath. You see that the girls are starting to mistreat Christopher in the way that their mom does. And there's a fine line between having a sense of humor and being fun and really tearing a person apart. And you should never, ever, ever make fun, chide, make jokes about another unless you can make them about yourself too, and laugh about yourself and your own things. And I never, and I mean, not to the point to be self-depreciating, okay? And I have a bad habit of that, right? We all know that. But the ways in which you never saw her ever say anything about herself that was less than stellar shows you that she wouldn't make jokes about herself or laugh about anybody else inferring something that was less than perfect about herself. So that's just my couple words on that. And now let's see here. So 1024 was where we begin, and we have a supplemental report with no property. from the Frederick Police Department. And sorry, I'm moving around. I've got ice on my shoulder and ice on my wrist, and maybe I need to go outside and just make an igloo. Lay in a big old pile of snow. That kind of, that kind of sounds good right now. Just go out there, lay down. Okay, so let's see. What we have here is dated 9/22, and it's by Officer Dave Baumhover. And it's more repetitive stuff about evidence stuff, but this one has a couple of little twists on it, so let's check it out. It says the following information was documented at the time it was gathered. The date of this report is not indicative of when the investigations occurred. Getting comfortable? Getting comfortable? You guys hear that? That's Boo. He loves tissue paper, and I like buying things online, so it works out well. My other cat and I have the same taste in cuddly blankets, so she likes the cuddly blankets I get. Boo likes the tissue out of the clothes that I buy, but yes, he has to mat the tissue down on his bed because he likes tissue paper. Now he's coming up, and don't walk on the keyboard, Boo. Just give me night-night kisses. I'm on my work, okay? Can you give me kisses? Give Mom kisses so I can work. Say hi to everybody. I put your picture up on my Insta again, showing how you were so cuddly this morning. Yep. And he crawled out of the little area where he was cuddling me. And he was sitting there like a little Jack in the Box, all nestled in. And then he crawled up on a blanket, so I was able to get a good square picture of him for you guys. Put it up there. Let's see how big he's getting. Hello, Boo. I love you. So, it says, during the week of 9/10/18, I spoke with CBI lab manager Aaron Koning regarding the possibility of obtaining Shanann's makeup for comparison with the residue discovered on the bed sheets that were recovered from the kitchen trash can. I informed Aaron I recalled seeing a makeup-type bag in Shanann's suitcase during one of the consensual searches I was involved with. It should be noted, this is the same suitcase Shanann used for her weekend business trip to Arizona. With the knowledge Frank and Sandy Rusek, were returning to Colorado to collect Shanann's personal belongings, I contacted them to request consent to search Shanann's suitcase when they returned to the house and learned that Frank took the back to North Carolina from his previous trip to Colorado. When I asked Frank about Shanann's makeup case, he confirmed it was still in the suitcase and that they had not opened it yet. Wonder why he took that. When I asked to take custody of the makeup bag, Sandy and Frank both agreed to bring it and its contents back to Colorado on the 9/22/18. At approximately 1000 hours, which is 10 o'clock in the morning, I met with Sandy and Frank at the Watts residence. Once inside, Frank opened his suitcase and handed me Shanann's makeup bag. I recognized it as the same high-gloss purple bag that I observed previously in Shanann's suitcase during the residential search. Additionally, a photo taken by Frederick Officer Walhe on 8/15/18 at 0741 hours shows the contents of Shanann's suitcase and her purple makeup bag is clearly visible. I entered the makeup bag into evidence pending transfer to the CBI lab for comparison testing. Nothing further. Detective Dave Baumhover. Okay. You wouldn't think that they would want it back after that's the first thing they had taken back. I mean, you really think that if there was something incriminating, they're going to bring it back that would incriminate their daughter? I mean, I don't know what the point in that was, but I guess it's just that, now it's noted, and that's where it was. Because now it does have in here where it says request for laboratory examination. And it has the makeup bag with makeup belonging to Shanann Watts. So it was put in here. It's the agency item of 133. It's additional evidence, and it says a CBI assisted crime scene. Well, I mean, what is it? Like I say, what is it worth if it went back and forth? But anyway. So now we have another thing with the lamplight letterhead from the police department. Detective Dave Baumhover on the CBI. It says here, Dave is saying that on 8/13/18, a triple homicide of Shanann Watts, 34, and her two daughters, Belle and Celeste, as he writes it, Belle and Celeste, 3, occurred in their Frederick home. I respectfully submit the following items for forensic testing. And it says item 133 is Shanann's makeup bag with makeup. It was voluntarily surrendered by Frank Rusick, who was Shanann's father. King-size bedding recovered from the kitchen trash of the Watts residence contained residue believed to be makeup, possibly eyeshadow. Requesting comparison and analysis testing of the items in the makeup bag with the residue discovered on the bed sheets and pillowcases. I mean, I think that a good defense could say, what difference does it make if a woman's makeup is on a sheet? Well, that sheet was found with her, that sheet was found there. I mean, if it was with her, I don't know. I mean, if it was her sheet, yeah, there'd be makeup. I don't know. Because then the prosecutor could say that, it got on there because it was held. And let's see here. On 9/21/2018, at approximately 21:05 hours, I assisted Sergeant Manley at 2825 Saratoga Trail regarding an unknown person seen around the residence. Upon arrival, Sergeant Manley advised the neighbor from 2905 Saratoga Trail had video of a vehicle pulling up to the address at 2825 Saratoga Trail, and then an unknown female stepped out of the vehicle. Sergeant Manley advised the cameras never show the female leaving the address, and the inside garage light were turned on when they are normally off. Okay, hold on, because was it stated that he saw her coming out of that vehicle and the other, or that there was a woman that went up and there was a vehicle going around the block? Well, now they actually have video saying that the unknown female stepped out of the vehicle. Well, didn't they get the plate? It says, I entered the home along with Officer Kate, Sergeant Manley, Officer Cooksey, Officer Fratelli. Sergeant Manley made loud announcements prior to entering the home and did not hear anything. Officers cleared the main floor of the home and did not find anything. Officers then cleared the garage, basement, and the second floor of the house and did not locate anyone in the residence. Sergeant Manley gave loud verbal announcement, not a loud or announcements. It's gave loud verbal announcement prior to entering any areas in the home, but no responded. Honestly, there's just no way that sentence makes sense. Well, I'm going to show you one more time. Sergeant Manley gave loud verbal announcement prior to entering any areas in the home, but no responded. That's actually a sentence. And it says nothing appeared to be out of place in the home. All lights in the home were turned off after officers finished clearing the whole house. And it says nothing further. Officer Perez, number 987, Frederick Police Department. And then we have something handwritten, and let me see if it's typed out what it is later before I try to figure this one out. Let's see. Doesn't necessarily say, and I don't want to ever peek too far ahead of where I'm at with you guys. So let's see if I can see it with my magnifying glass here. It says maybe, oh my god, I was just covering up the magnifying glass with my finger. Chad Mitchell follow-up? Something. Men morning. Man, it's hot out here. Not very hot. That's something. That morning. Shouldn't have open shirt. They said now boots. Proud of new boots. Had older boots on. So yeah, I remember that they were mentioning about his boots or whatever, and so it's probably just a little note, something like that. It says Chad McNeil or something follow up. So let's see here. Let me see. It says here, because this is an unclassified FBI follow up. Christopher Watts' date of birth, 5/16/85, was interviewed at the Frederick Police Department, blah, blah, blah. After being advised the identity of the interviewing agent and the nature of the interview, Chris provided the following information. Okay, now here's a disclaimer. It says, below is an interview summary. It is not intended to be a verbatim account and does not memorialize all statements made during the interview. Communications by the parties in the interview room were electronically recorded via an audio-video recording by the Frederick Police Department in the interview room, and also were recorded via an additional handheld audio recorder provided by the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. Both recordings capture the actual words spoken. Both recordings of this interview are maintained within the Frederick Police Department case file. In addition to the recorded audio-video file, Police Department case file, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation has completed a transcript of the handheld audio recording of the interview. The CBI transcript is an initial draft that will be updated in the future for purposes of court proceedings. It should be noted that S.A. Coder can be heard recording a preamble to the interview in the handheld CBI audio recorder, which begins before S.A. Coder entered this interview room with Christopher Watts. The video recording begins moments later after S.A. Coder enters the room. Okay. So it's like, don't you want like some suspenseful music after that little disclaimer and be like, dun, dun, dun. So let's see. It says, at the onset of the interview, Special Agent S.A. Coder of the FBI notified Chris that the interview would be recorded. Chris agreed to provide a statement. S.A. Coder gave Chris a written statement sheet and requested that he write down his recollection of the events that led to the disappearance of his wife and children. A digital copy of Chris's handwritten statement is attached to this file. Stated that his wife, Shanann, was traveling in Arizona for a business convention and returned to Frederick, Colorado at approximately 2 a.m. on Monday, August 13th. Shanann got home and into bed with Watts upon returning home at 2 a.m. At 4 a.m., Chris woke up at his usually scheduled time and prepared to get breakfast and go to work. Do you guys feel like Shanann honestly just did not like being stuck at home, being a stay-at-home mom, even though she had the girls in daycare and locked them up from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. and 12 to 3 when she did have them? That she faked her way, bought her way, lied her way into getting into this position that she was in so that she could go on all of these quote unquote business trips, so that she could live a life of being not present, being that party girl at those events. You see those pictures, and even if you didn't know that you were looking for her, she's the one that stands out. And I mean, and everybody who says she had this charismatic, bright personality, right? So she was the center of everything, the center of attention, the star there. She'd wear the outfits that got her the looks, and good for her. If you're in that prime of your life, I think I looked my best when I was like her age, like between 28 and 38. I think I looked my best. Then it's all downhill from there. Just freaking crashed. But anyway, so she was like in the prime of her life for her looks, and kind of like when a woman comes into her own, as they say. So she was loving getting all that attention. She was on her second marriage, as it was, where a lot of us, are contemplating a second marriage in our early 30s. Um, so it just, my first husband would never have tolerated me having a job like that where I was out of town, partying with other people, out of town, having fun, out of town, not paying attention to what I needed to, where, I had a full time job and was going to college full time, taking care of my house and my kids, and trying to take care of my husband, but obviously that didn't work out because it ended in divorce. So, 13 years of that, I'm telling you, he would have never, never. Now, the second husband, if I had honestly earned these things and I had earned these accomplishments, because we're both very open and honest with each other about finances and how we earn things or whatnot, if I had a job where I honestly had earned these things, then he would be proud of me to go on said vacations. But as I did dip my toes into two MLMs and didn't get to go on vacations for either, I could have went to either of the symposiums, but you have to pay for them, and I'm not about to take money away from my family. um, Everything I put into the MLMs was what I put in. So if I put in money for the initial investment, then I waited till I made that equal investment and over before I invested more. And I kept that continuum. But then when it got to the point where I was going to all of these vendor events that, were within a 2 and 3 hour driving distance, but they would take the whole day. I'd have to leave it, 5 or 6 in the morning and then not get back till 6 or 7 in the night. Um, that takes a lot out of you. Your whole weekend and everything um, is spent. All the preparation, everything. To not even, I wasn't even covering my gas money um, with what I was selling at those events. And I was selling both brands at the events. And you have to pay. So I wasn't even making my table fee. So then I got to a position where the person, asked me to be their, hostess for the events and whatnot, and um, organize everybody else coming in and do all of that and set up and take down in lieu of my um, table fees. And that was the way that I had to start doing it, because I wasn't making enough to cover um, my table fees. And yes, I was doing my MLMs during the pandemic. So you have to say, well, not a lot of people were coming out. Absolutely. But um, both brands had their email component. So that was just my goal of meeting a couple of people. And from the advertisements in that I would do, I would be sharing my online links for people to then go on and buy. So certainly I could have went to the out of town events, but that was, you have to pay for the hotel, you have to pay for the event, you have to pay for your food, you'd have to pay for your rental car, um, and that was for both brands. Now everybody is out there to say, "Oh no, she won that. She won the airfare. She won that." You can't tell me that she did on every single one of them. Maybe on a couple, but there's no way that they were paying airfare, hotel, her meals, her rental car, incidentals on every time she was going out of town. I don't even think that they were paying 50%, maybe even not 25%, because some of my friends who were really high up in that jewelry that was supposed to be lead and nickel free, that isn't. So if you bought it, you had a reaction, I'd be looking online for a civil suit for that jewelry that had lead and nickel in it. Um, I tell you, I tried it and I still, the reaction in my ear still isn't done. And it's been a year and a half now since I wore that particular pair of earrings for about 5 minutes. I mean, I cannot do nickel. I'm so incredibly allergic to nickel. Um, but a couple of my friends were really high up in that. And if you look up some of the horror stories of that, you see that what was happening was that they had to go to these events because they'd be nominated to receive a reward or an award. Well, you had to go to the event to be able to accept the award that you earned. If you did not pay your way to get there, you could not receive said award that you had earned. So people who had been doing well and everything and were meeting all their marks, they'd have to go pay for hotel, whatnot, even during the pandemic that they weren't comfortable leaving their families, whatnot, but they still had to. You can go online and read some of the stories, and they're really sad because um, allegedly several people who attended the convention for that line of jewelry um, did not survive. They got sick, and you can go and read about it. It's there, it's out there. But they talk about how much money they were out for the airfare, the hotel, the having to pay to go to the seminar, having to pay to get this, to get that. The expenses are outrageous. So it you'd have to be selling so much of this $5 jewelry that you buy and you have to pay postage on and then resend to the um, person who buys it, unless they buy it straight from your web link, which is the only way to make any money right now is for people to order straight from your web link. So there are so many people out there that say how much it costs them to actually go to these things, but they're not going to advertise that because they want to put that they won this, and that's why they want it, because the businesses love it, because then that's free advertising for them. When you put this big thing on your Facebook that, oh yeah, you got to go and attend this and accept this award, yeah, that's free advertising. And then all of those people who are on your Facebook are like, wow, my job sucks. I want to do what she's doing. I want to go on vacation too. I want to go and party with the girls, and I want that, and I want to go, and I want to be on that plane. And you see the commercials and advertising for that shampoo that let's see, rhymes with John Bonet. That may or may not make your hair fall out. To me, it was very drying. I tried it and I tried the samples, and that was it. For my friend, it works beautifully. Her hair looks better than it has since we were in high school. I'm not freaking kidding. So for some people, I do believe the product works. For a lot of others, it just depends on your hair type, I suppose. But she uses the face stuff and the hair stuff. She looks amazing. So for her, and she does not resell. I mean, she could because she looks so good, and everybody's like, "How do you look so good?" on our Facebook. But anyway, I know that people that sell that, it's the same thing. You see all these things, and they have these nacho bars, with the cheese all flowing in these fountains and chips, and they're in Punta Cana and all this. And then you come out and you find out, yeah, they qualified to go on this trip. Then they had to pay their airfare, pay to attend this, pay their seminar fee. Like usually there's extra swag or there's exclusive swag, so you pay to get that too. I mean, it costs a lot. You have to invest a lot to go to and live that MLM life, you know? My friend who sold it's modern day Amway. And it's like I remember her having to like squish into a vehicle with several others and drive cross country to get to their seminars. But then once they got there, it was like all this stuff on their Facebook about them, going there and being better leaders and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but 2 days ago, you asked me to frickin' PayPal you money for gas because you guys were stranded on the road and you were near death. What about that? Oh, you just forget that when you go and get that MLM high, I guess. But what I'm saying is that there was $25,000 estimated, allegedly, of product in their basement from this business that she sold from, allegedly. Thrive says so in the discovery. $25,000 of product down there. So, what is that really saying? They weren't able to be making their house payments. He took $10,000 out to catch them up, supposedly. But then you look at the airfare to go back and forth from North Carolina to Colorado, and then they went to Arizona, or she went to Arizona. And while she was in North Carolina, she went places too for this business. And then they were getting ready to go to Aspen or wherever right after. And then she paid for a private ultrasound, and she had to have Daddy ride with her because she couldn't go on an airplane with her two little girls who were, little enough one could sit on her lap and one would have to be next, but plenty of ladies in the airport traveling by themselves. You wouldn't believe it if you were SW, but it happens every freaking day. So how much did this really cost them? I mean, how much of the vacations were paid? How much of the airfare was paid? How much of the hotel was paid? And yes, it seems like they roomed together and whatnot. I wouldn't do that. There's nobody I would room with except for my husband. And that's even questionable at times. But I mean, how much did this really cost? I mean, sounds like that would be a really good title for a book. I ought to copyright that right now. I'm gonna write that down and copyright it. I'm gonna say that right now. Write it down, so that the essay that I will write was, it's gonna be called "How Much Did MLMs Truly Cost the Watts Family?" Copyrighted right here. How much did MLMs truly cost the Watts family? That'll be what, when I write my essay and I put it out as an ebook, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to copyright it right now. It's copyrighted right here. Copyrighted. I run it down to my neighbor and notarize it. I mean, okay. So she signed up all of her family under her. Did it have monthly minimums for each family member to hit for her to rise? Did everybody in her downline have to hit those minimums in order for her to do that? And if they didn't, was she buying product so that they would hit that minimum so that she would continue to rise? How was it all done? I would love for a forensic accountant to go through all of that and say, how did you manage to do this? How did you make this much money, and where did it go, and why wasn't it reported, and why were you not making this and that? I mean, when they just did the bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy left them with what, $40 left in a month, and that was before the second baby was born. So you got to say that formula was probably eaten up in that $40, right? Well, how did they then get $10,000 a year for daycare expenses? That's how much was reportedly being given to the school or the daycare, whatever we want to call it today. The Primrose School, right? So when you're negative 40, or you're supposed to be positive 40, but we know that 40 is gone, so you're already upside down. Then you're going to be upside down 10K. And then you're going to be going on all of these MLM trips and everything and say that they're all covered. They're not. I mean, you just think about just when you're out, you can't tell me that every single thing was itemized and covered by that. No way. If I would have went to the Tupperware Jubilee and, you know, bought myself breakfast, lunch, and dinner, could I be like, hey, you want to pay for this? But then you have the people who are like, that's what you pay for because you earn the money for it. Well, that's my commission and that's my wage. And then if you break down how much you're paying, how many hours you're actually working in that MLM and how little you're actually making per hour, it's a whole different thing. All right, so I am needed somewhere else. I'm going to stop babbling and I will do a part 2 to this one. I apologize for getting off so abruptly. Anyway, I will do an addendum to this. I do apologize.